the storm. I am concerned about the cost that will flow to customers if the state of Texas and the legislature doesn't get it right. Because this last 2 weeks ago, that was a multi-billion-dollar storm. And the question is, who will pay the ultimate cost? Will those bills, for example, that your power generators are going to be charging ERCOT, will the cost of that be flowed to your transmission and distribution companies, and then ultimately to your retail electric providers, and then ultimately to the ratepayers themselves? That question still needs to be determined. And what those costs will exactly be, or whether or not the state of Texas, because what happened 2 weeks ago was foreseeable and preventable, whether or not the state of Texas will assume those added costs. I was just on the phone with the mayors of Austin and San Antonio. And in San Antonio, for example, their city is looking at probably more than $1 billion in costs. And the question is, who will be responsible for paying that added cost? And so there needs to be, as we focus on who's to blame, people need to realize the costs are going to be coming into the system. And the question is, who will pay the ultimate cost? Ratepayers, customers, should not be left to pay these exorbitant costs by a storm that was foreseeable and preventable. The state of Texas ought to assume those costs. So I don't want to lose sight of that, because that's very important as we move forward. And no one should just place the blame just on ERCOT. The Public Utility Commission has a large role to play, and so does the leadership of the state of Texas. And that's the big issue that's remaining. Who will be paying the tab for what happened 2 weeks ago? And if we are not careful, a month from now, or 2 months from now, those bills will be coming through. And the question is, will they land in the mailbox of consumers having to pay that exorbitant cost? That should not take place. And while the legislature is in session, they need to make very, very clear who will be assuming the cost of that catastrophe, that system-wide, statewide failure that took place 2 weeks ago.